You're listening to the Full-Time Function Musician Podcast, episode 32.
You're listening to the Full-Time Function Musician Podcast, the number one resource for growing your function musician business. If you're a solo wedding singer, part of a 12-piece luxury show band, or anything in between, and want to learn from other successful musicians, you're in the right place.
You're listening to the Full-Time Function Musician Podcast. I am your host, Jack Twiner. If this is your first time listening, then welcome. This podcast is here to help you grow your business and ultimately get your calendar booked up with your ideal gigs. And hopefully giving you some freedom to enjoy life as well. So I have another killer guest lined up for today, but first I have a bit of news, and that is that this is going to be the last episode for a little while, as I'm going to be taking a short break. So think of this as season 1, and season 2 will be out in a month, maybe 2 months. It's a lot of work to put out an episode every week. And when I started this, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing and no idea if anyone would listen, but it's grown into something awesome that I'm really proud of and that people seem to really enjoy. So it's definitely not the end. It will be back bigger and better now that I kind of know what I'm doing a bit. So if you would like to be a part of season 2, please get in touch. And this is the most important part. If you need to subscribe on subscribe or follow on whatever podcast platform that you listen on, so that you'll get notified when it's back. I will also still be doing some little bits over on my social media. If you're interested in checking that out, I occasionally share some helpful bits that can help you grow and manage your business. Just little short videos. Some of the bits that are on this podcast as well. But yeah, you can find me at In Focus Recording Co. on Instagram. And yeah, that's it. So let's get into the final episode of season 1. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Charlie Tottman. You're listening to the Full-Time Function Musician Podcast, and on today's episode, I'm joined by professional guitarist, teacher, and author Charlie Tottman. Charlie, welcome to the podcast, man.
Hi, Jack. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome, man. Loads to talk to you about today. And I think you're officially the first author that we've had on the show as well. So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to diving into that. But as usual, first of all, I'd like to start things off by going back and learning a little bit about where you got started and the journey that's brought you to where you are today.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I started playing guitar in my view sort of relatively late. I was 14, 15, something like that. And then I got quite heavily into it. And by the time I was sort of 18, decided that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't quite sure how. And then I went to the ACM in Guildford, studied there for sort of 4 years or so. And, I
also went to ACM actually. So that's
right. Perfect. Oh, yeah. I immersed myself in that. But I think for me, it was always about making a living. It was never really been one of those guys that was like, record deal and that sort of thing. It's never been my kind of path, So I looked up to a lot of the tutors there because I wanted to kind of do what they were doing. That was definitely a thing. And then, left. And I must admit, I didn't feel I was really there in terms of being a player yet. And I think it's probably something I'd sort of, and say it to some of my students actually or older, like you don't have to have everything together by the time you're 21, 20, whatever, wherever I was. And so I needed a few years to kind of because I wanted to be better basically. So, it did take me a few years, I started teaching and I was working and kind of getting going, but it definitely took me a few years. I didn't fly out and I was like some people leave and they're on tour and stuff, but that wasn't me,
Yeah.
So, so I started to build that and then, eventually got to a place where I was happy and, I definitely made a shift, probably more late 20s really. I sort of decided I wanted to focus more on teaching as a backbone of what I was doing. So it was still doing gigs and stuff, but I looked forward to the future as I wanted a business that was a thing that was tangible. And that's what I saw as something that I could have and move forward with. So yeah. And that's sort of over the years just built up to a nice sort of happy stage where I'm at now. But, that's probably my journey in brief, I'd say, is kind of how I've got to where I am.
So what years were you at ACM?
So I joined in 2004.
2004 and I left in 2008.
Oh, we might have had a little bit of a crossover then. I was there, I think, in 2007 to 2009 or something like that. Yeah, I did production.
Really?
I did production though.
Okay. Yeah. It's a different, yeah. Okay.
Strange place ACM though, isn't it? Like everyone's got like different experiences from there, and I'm not sure all of them are good ones.
Yeah, I've quite a few students who've been or are going, and I think it's definitely changed. I mean, I mean the best thing were the tutors, like they were like
absolutely, and the facilities are incredible.
Yeah, and there's still people that I know, like who I interact with now. Do you know what I mean? Who I was there with, like I don't know, God, nearly 20 years ago. So it's pretty mad, but yes, I think it is a bit of a mixed bag, definitely.
So let's go back to when you sort of started taking, I guess, being a musician more seriously. What was did you have a function band prior to the teaching stuff, or did the teaching stuff come first?
Well, no, I was playing in bands sort of like probably. I think I did my first gig when I was like 16, maybe, like really early on, but. Yeah, I was playing in bands. It wasn't really like, I remember doing like pub gigs at like 18, 19, like proper pub gigs, and then the teaching, it's sort of around the same time, I'd say, but like functions came a bit later, like proper ones, sort of like probably more like mid-20s, like started to do them properly, regularly. I'd say that's how it turned out.
So, and it sounded like you did decide that, okay, I wanted to start a teaching business, not just sort of like a sort of side hustle kind of thing. That was like a focus.
Yes, that's definitely right. Yeah. I made that decision because I think I sort of looked ahead to, like as you grow, just having that structure in your life is definitely something I wanted. To have. So it was definitely a teaching business. And as I started to take it, and focus more on it, obviously grew because, I prioritized it as more of a thing. So, that was definitely a focus for me, I'd say. Yeah.
So what did that look like in the early days then? How did that kind of get started, and how did you grow it?
I was working a bit in schools and stuff, and I sort of grew it. And then privately, it definitely, I mean, even the early, well, no, it wasn't that long ago, but like using Google and like Google My Business, which is a brilliant tool, I'd say. And just word of mouth and just becoming a bit more like, as soon as I decided it was a focus, like you just, I wasn't saying I wasn't putting as much time into it before, but like you put a lot more time and a lot more effort into prepping and just a better experience for whoever you're teaching and dealing with. And I think that just compounds and makes everything better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it just, as it's more of a priority for you, people sort of inherently see that. And so, it just grew. And like, definitely it changed when, my wife and I moved. I mean, it was quite a while ago now. I think like 2015, we moved and I had a separate room, like where I could teach and stuff. And that was definitely, that definitely helped. We did have a place before that actually, where I had a room as well, but like it was we bought someone out a proper room where I could teach and like felt a lot more settled in there. So that was where things sort of grew even more from there, because I could just like deck that out all evening every night, So because I think that's a thing for people. Like it's like all very well, but like the visiting thing, like I did a bit of that when I was a lot younger.
Is
like
that going to people's homes?
Yeah, it's cool for a bit, but like in terms of timing, it doesn't work as well. Do you know what I mean? Like there's obvious constraints, like traveling and stuff. So as soon as I sort of capped doing that, things were able to grow a lot quicker as well.
Yeah, I mean, having a dedicated space is definitely going to be a key to that. Like, and you can also just make it like an inviting environment to like teach in and stuff like that, and make people comfortable. And as you were saying, like about the compounding effect of just of word of mouth and things like that, like just being like a good teacher and a good person to hang out with, like really helps businesses. Like it's such a simple thing, but sometimes people overlook it, I think. Like,
but it's the same for like you say, any business, your business, like, being, having a good environment, being a good person to hang out with is absolutely essential. Whatever you do, I would have thought, so yeah, definitely.
So, what sort of balance of teaching versus playing in bands what kind of makeup is that for these days?
So it's really, gigging is usually just at the weekends now. I mean, there's the odd midweek thing, there's occasional midweek thing, but usually it's Saturday nights particularly through the summer, like there's maybe a Sunday afternoon jazz thing or like maybe a Friday night. And then, but I'm teaching sort of Monday to Friday. It's like my thing now. So it's like every day I'm doing like schools, like self-employed thing there. And then I come back and do my thing here. So yeah, that's kind of the balance, which is really, to be honest, the balance that I wanted.
I mean, that sounds like quite a lot. You're working more than a 9 to 5.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
That's sounds like 7 days a week plus evenings.
Yeah, it can be quite. Yeah, but like over the summer now, like things are a lot quieter, so you take your time when you can. But yeah, no, it does. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of work. Yeah.
How do you balance that with like having some time off and spending time with your family? Because you mentioned you've got a 2-year-old, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you balance that?
I don't know, really. I don't know. How do you balance it? I think it is just like, during the school holiday times, like I definitely take more, so now like it's like throughout August, like there's a lot more family time and stuff like that. But I think, I mean the work-life balance, like there's definitely an aspect of it being a business and that control thing, which I think obviously a lot of the guys that you've had on, like predominantly are all self-employed people. So it's like, I think just feeling that you have that control where you could maybe do less if you wanted, even just knowing that you could is definitely like mentally a huge benefit. So you're like, well, I could do less. Whether you do or not is different, but like it definitely feels less overwhelming than somebody like breathing down my neck telling me that I've got, do you know what I mean? So I think you just find the balance where you can, and like it's not always easy, but But then
that is there's the beauty of being self-employed though, right? And that's why I think most of us do it, is so that we have control of our lives a bit more than if we work for someone else.
Oh, it's huge for me. I mean, that's almost now for me is I mean, obviously the music thing's great, but like almost more or equal to is the thing that control that I have now. Like, it's absolutely like, as you get older, especially families and stuff. So yeah, definitely.
Is your partner self-employed or in the music business
or
anything like that as well?
She works marketing. She's project management and stuff. So it's different. So like that's quite good in a way. Like there's that regularity, and then obviously childcare and stuff. But yeah, it's quite good to have that balance. It balances you both out a bit, I think.
Yeah. So let's go on to like a little bit of marketing for what you do for your teaching business now. I imagine these days it's mostly runs itself, but I know I was stalking your Instagram a little bit, and you've got like over 8,000 followers, which is just pretty impressive. And does that play a part in I guess your business marketing, or is that sort of just come along with it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think the biggest marketing thing is Google My Business. That I think it's called Google Business now. Like definitely from a local point of view, whatever you do, you link it to your address. That's been magic. But yeah, I mean, definitely. Facebook, Instagram, some of the things. Yeah, I definitely get stuff through that. And now obviously we can all do Zoom. So the lessons that I do, people who aren't here, like next door to me or like live around me, so there's definitely that's COVID of all the negativity that came out of that, definitely being able to teach people like halfway out the country, or I've taught people in Europe and America and stuff. So yeah, definitely the Instagram effect has definitely helped, with that. Yeah, absolutely. But it takes a lot of work. It's all very well to say like, oh yeah, just use Instagram and Facebook. But I think the content thing, because it's always like, everybody's talking about creating content, but like some people are just like, well, what content? It's really hard, isn't it, to know like what you're supposed to create. And I think one of the things I kind of was thinking about earlier was like, in any content, not that I'm any master of it at all, like, but someone said it, or maybe I thought of it, I don't know, but like give people what they want. Like, do you know what I mean? So like for me, predominantly my business is teaching. So give like people a little guitar lesson in a really short fragment, because that's what people want, and that's more likely to draw people in. I mean, it's easy to say, but like that's how I'd view it for me, Yeah.
The biggest mistake I think people make when doing content is they're making it for the wrong audience. They're almost making content that they would want to see, but then they're not their ideal customers, so it's not really useful. It may build a good Instagram, but it's not really going to make you work. So the important part is actually making content that your audience is going to find useful or interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Or whatnot. So, and that's exactly what you're doing. It's little, because I watched a couple of your videos and they're great little guitar lessons, really clear, really easy to understand.
Cool.
So I imagine, they do really well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's so much content. Or there's like creating content that makes you look good. Like, not that I can do that, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's that side of it. Yeah, absolutely. It's really difficult to get the right stuff, and like it took me quite a while, to be honest. But yeah, that's absolutely.
Are your videos quite easy to put together, or does it take you a bit of time?
Yeah, I mean, I've done the YouTube like longer form thing, and like I've found that a lot more difficult. Because it's more like sort of landscape stuff and like talking about things, and there are some amazing guitar guys that put stuff together, but like it's so much work to put those together. I focus more on the reels now, so the portrait stuff, and I mean it's the planning, and like I almost script it, like, but it's like a lot of it's really short, and I know what hopefully know what I'm talking about, so it's kind of relatively easy to put together. But I mean, you do it properly, like, but it still takes work to like make sure it looks okay and like, reasonably good. But
making content for Instagram is the worst. It takes so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really, and the quality is so good. Like now, most people, so like, I mean, I do those on my phone, and it is an incredible phone, but like I don't know, I feel it's good enough. Like some people create stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the key thing, I think.
So, have you found that has started to introduce then, as you mentioned, international clients and just again people further away, and it has helped for that?
Yeah, and I do a little bit. Like I don't really do it much anymore, but I used to do some examinings, like assessing guitar exams at different levels, and I ended up putting some content together for that on YouTube, which is a very niche, small audience, but like that's weirdly bought, well, not weirdly, it's like expected, but that's brought people in who have an interest in that very niche thing. So, and they're like, I did a recorded lesson for someone in, I think it was Singapore, like a few weeks ago, because they have an interest in that very niche thing. So I put something together. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, the internet's magic for that. It's like, it's really, really good. So yeah, that's definitely helped. Yeah.
Another thing I saw that you were doing, which I thought was really interesting, was your band workshops.
Oh yeah.
That's not something I've seen before, but that looks really interesting, and I'd love to know a bit about how that came about and how it works. And
that's something that it's sort of a newer thing in terms of like, that's the thing I'd like next to do, sort of move to more towards workshops and bigger events. And yeah, that's something I'm doing. It starts in October. It's for adults, so it's focused on kind of older players. It actually came from a student of mine who had attended another workshop thing, and it kind of hadn't got on with it as well. And there's a few things that he wanted to fix with it, and we worked together and kind of put this idea together. So, so I'm opening that up. I'm going to be doing some work on that today and pushing it and stuff. But I like the kind of bigger groups and like more working together with people. I think I do a lot of one-to-one, which is great. But like I'm looking ahead to like, I don't know, sort of the future things I'd like to be doing. And I actually just got back from France a few weeks ago. A friend of mine has a place, and we're talking about doing a sort of summer retreat like next summer, and like a residential thing. I mean, it's very like early stages. There's tons to plan, but like, it'd be really good. I'd love to do that.
That sounds like a great idea.
So yeah, there's lots to think about with that. But yeah, that sort of thing where I'm thinking more about bigger groups and like working together with groups of people. I think so that's my plan.
How are you advertising the band workshops or marketing? Is that just through your students, or are you using any other external things to market that?
Yeah, I'm got to edit today actually. I went to film, it's at Silent Hill Studios in Guildford. I filmed a little thing. I'm going to edit together and put that out. The difficult thing is, look, it's open to other instruments. So like, I only really teach guitar, I teach a bit of bass. So guitar and bass players will probably be okay. I'm more or less there, but like keyboards, vocals, drums is a bit more difficult. I've talked to some local tutors that I know, so they're going to push it a bit, but it's hard reaching people who aren't in that discipline, because I don't think many of the people in my audience, whatever you want to call it, are keyboard players necessarily, or like aspiring drummers. So it's harder to reach that. I'm going to do a few posts. I'm going to look into some promoted posts perhaps, which can sometimes work. But again, like we're saying, it's about audience, isn't it? It's like, how do I find that audience that I don't have. It's kind of reaching out of that and thinking about how to do that. So that's really the task for the next 2 weeks, is trying to
I think local Facebook music groups are perfect to find people like that, and just popping a few messages out in there could work wonders.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good strategy.
But it's such a cool idea, man. The retreat sounds awesome as well. Like, I know you said it's very early days yet, but do you sort of have any sort of outline of what that's going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, the guy that I know is a friend of mine. I mean, he knows a chef basically that someone would come and do it, and so it would be like quite focused on, because it's a beautiful place in France, like all local produce and stuff. So that would be very much an angle as well for people who like, French wine, French food. So it'd be like, I don't know. I think it'd probably be like, one of those meals would be catered and then people can do whatever they want outside that. The day would be focused on 10 o'clock or something to 4, and like a few different, I'd structure like a curriculum or whatever you call it around. And then but very much focused on not just coming to play guitar, enjoying like the countryside around there and the produce and stuff. So it's just how to, that's the rough outline at the moment.
It sounds great.
That's the plan.
I can see it being successful for sure.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
It's great for people that are attending as well, networking, and things like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it'd be really good.
So let's move on to your book. Like that's again, first author that we've had on the show, which is exciting. How did that come about? And tell us a bit about the book, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I started putting it together in lockdown. It's just like. From teaching for years, like it's about practice. So it's called What No One Tells You About Practice. And it's focused on all the things that we all do wrong, like playing an instrument. Like we always practice the same bit. We don't practice the bit we should be practicing. And it's all that kind of thing. And it just like, I just wanted to, it's the kind of book that I wish I'd read. I know it's a real cliche. People say that, don't they? But like, I wish I'd read when I was like 19 or something, like, because I just did all the wrong things, all the cliches, like trying to do everything. And so it just talks more about a little bit of, not really, I wouldn't call it science, but like a little bit about like how practice works, and like repetition is golden and all of that. And then like just things about like what motivation, like failure. I'm big on failure. Like I like failing. Like it's really important to fail lots and get it wrong and kind of correct that. And so it's just a bit different from like, oh, here's your practice schedule, like make sure you practice the scales and do all of this. Like it's a bit more, it's a bit deeper, I guess, and a bit more into the processes that happen, like we think about. And I've read a lot of books about like, not practice, but like athletes and how they practice and how like repetition, all this stuff. And it just sort of came from that and notes I put together. And I self-published it. So I did actually get, which sounds really impressive, although it wasn't at all, but I got a couple of publishing offers, but they were like, I then realized I think they call them vanity publishing, which is basically like they woo you with this amazing, oh, would you like to be published? And then the reality, the deal is absolutely rubbish, like in my opinion. And then so, I did it myself, and I got an editor actually, which is absolutely essential. And then it's available as an ebook and a paper. I have one right here. Here you go. As a paperback, and like it's all Amazon print on demand for Amazon Zills. I know they're like not ideal in a lot of ways, but if you want to publish a book and access like, I don't know, the biggest distributor in the world, Amazon, in Magic. I mean, like you can order it, they'll print on demand, like so they'll print it and send it to you, I don't know, like the next day or the day after, which is like, the alternative is having like 200 copies sat in my room for like 40 years, you know what I mean? So like, it makes a lot of sense. And the only thing I wish, there's many things I wish I'd done, but I wish I'd got somebody to professionally sort the layout for the paperback, because it's like took me just unbelievable amount of time to sort the layout. I wish I just paid someone to do that. I did pay someone for the Kindle because that's so specialist, but I wish but anyway, you live and learn. But it's been really good. Like it doesn't sell hundreds of copies a day or anything, but like it's good. You get shifted a fair few copies a month. And again, all that Instagram, Facebook stuff, like it all links to that because it's all linked and stuff. So that helps. And it's just a nice little like sort of passive thing that, I kind of keep going. And it's, so it's been good. I've got a couple of other ebooks actually on the Amazon store, which are more instructional, but this is definitely done better than those, I think, because the fact that it's a print thing. So, it's been good.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Any plans for another one?
I always sort of said maybe, but then we had a daughter, so it kind of changed. Like spare time is vanished. Yeah, it's always sort of been on my mind. I think the focus at the moment is these workshops and kind of how I'd like to move forward with that. But like at some point, I'm sure I'll get around to giving it some proper thought, but not in the immediate future. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So we've talked about teaching, we've talked about book and things like that, and some marketing. So is there anything else that you'd like to talk about that we sort of had in our outline that we haven't yet?
I do.
Sort of move on to like gigs and stuff.
Yeah, no, not especially. I think you've done a good job of covering those. You just, we'll just push forward. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So some of your best gigs and your worst gigs. What cool stories you got for us?
Well, okay, there's plenty of dodgy gigs, but I'd say the best and the story that I'll never tire of telling, any excuse, is I did someone in the band called the Ding Dong Daddios, and they did sort of vintage jive events, and we were playing at a place, Crooked Billet, which is in Henley, which is a lovely venue. And anyway, so there was a lady there who watched us and really enjoyed it, and we found out later that her son is Jimmy Page from Zeppelin, and we ended up playing her 90th birthday, and Jimmy Page was there. And the biggest highlight, I think, probably of my entire life is standing and playing Happy Birthday to Jimmy Page's mum with Jimmy Page stood to my right singing. So I don't, and it was just, and he was sat there for the whole first set. I probably played dreadfully. I can't remember. Like, he was like right. It was just a small little event. And then talked to him at the end. Super cool guy, really nice. Talked about music a bit. Utterly surreal. Like I just, absolutely mental. But I don't think, like, in terms of cool stories, I don't think like I'll ever do anything better than that. That's
a pretty cool story, though.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, won't ever beat that. Yeah.
I know the Crooked Billet as well, so cool little venue. Yeah,
lovely place.
Nice restaurant. That.
Yeah, great food. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, bad gig stories. I mean, nothing stands out particularly in terms of. I did some this is a bit of a different story while we're here, but I did some examining once where I had to you have to play for these diplomas, so you have to play the background bit to examiners. And I dropped my guitar. It was a Sunday morning. My guitar fell and it snapped the G string on the guitar, and it was a semitone out of tune. So we couldn't find another guitar. So I had to play the whole afternoon of backing all these chord charts with my G string a semitone out of tune. And if you're a guitarist, you'll all the bar chords, like a major becomes a major 7. Anyway, we'll get too technical into it, but that was absolute nightmare, to be honest. I don't know how I got through it. But there you go. That's a bad story. It's a good story and a bad story. There you go.
Nice. Awesome, man. So, I've got a new round that we are starting to bring into the podcast, which is the quick fire round, which is just some quick questions with some quick answers to, see what comes out. So, What is the most effective thing you've done to market yourself or your business?
Probably, Google business page. So it links to my address, magic, because people search you when they're looking for lessons, based on their location, and your location is there. It's been magic. And then we've talked about it really, but Facebook Reels has been really good, just for generating interest and stuff. Just, again, we talked about giving people what they want. So short things, whatever your business is, find that tiny little niche and go crazy on that. And that's been great for generating business. Yeah.
Just to, as many be quick ones, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. So on your Google business page, do you ask for people for reviews and stuff? Because I know that can help boost you up the Google ranks and things.
Yeah.
And do you do any sort of SEO stuff for Google on your website?
Yeah, so I try to link just keywords. Like the keyword, I think, for me is guitar lessons Guildford. So make sure that's plenty. There's tons of stuff online you read, people will tell you how to do it properly and stuff. But definitely link keywords, get reviews. Reviews are magic. Even just anything, provided it's a good, honest review. But absolute magic. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anytime you've had a good experience with a client, any sort of client, just ask them to pop that on Google, and it really helps you out, and a really easy way to jump up the Google ranks and things like that.
Yeah, really good.
So next question, what have you learned in the last 3 months that you wish you knew 3 years ago?
I'd probably say the same. I'd probably say the same sort of thing, like the content thing. I mean, that's a bit boring now because I've said it tons of times, but I'll try and think of something else while I'm rabbiting on. But yeah, I think it trails through to like all businesses. Like, it's such a basic idea, but giving people like whatever it is they want. I'm not talking about content, but like communicating with people. Like, there's probably like communicate with that. It's like depping on a gig or something. Giving people like really clear, like straightforward communication. It's just so obvious, but so easy to forget about. Like, if someone's inquiring about a gig, like they don't want, like you just give them the really basic information. This is our fee. This is what we do. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's really easy, particularly when you start out, to think that you need to justify your price or something. Like, if you know, oh, well, I've got this much experience. We've played here. Just give people what they want. Like, and maybe as an extra to that, like standing by your fee is another whole thing that probably, it's so easy, like particularly when you start out, to think, oh, like, should I be charging that? I don't really feel, just like decide what it is, justify it yourself and stand by it. You know, people can say, oh, well, that's a lot for, well, no, that's what it costs. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, also the things about, like, you learn over the years more about business is like your fee isn't just like your fee that you're taking and spending on whatever you want. It's like your fee is based on the fact that you've got to maintain all your gear, you've got to pay for your insurance, you've got to, like, all these loads of things that you have to have. That's all baked into the fee. So, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just think, oh, well, I only need like 100 quid, so like I'll charge 100 quid. Well, like, no, like there's tons of things that you have to pay for, and think about how, you know, that needs to grow over the years anyway. So yeah, that's probably my really short answer to your
having confidence in what you should charge is tough. It is really tough. I still struggle with it, but it's painful to wonder as well how much money has been left on the table over the years from various different things. Like, but anyway, so if you were just starting out now, what is the first thing that you'd do?
I think in terms of, I just get as much promote for free as much as you possibly can. All the avenues you can do, just as free, because it's so easy to jump into something and think you've got to spend X amount on all this stuff. But just, I mean, I banged on about it enough, but like all the Google listing, maybe even like, you know, all Google, Facebook, Instagram are all free. Like, they're the biggest companies in the world and they're promoting your stuff to everyone. So like, use all of that. And then, you know, obviously you will need to spend, I think you do have to spend money on quality stuff eventually, like promotion. But like, just to start with, see if you can just make a start on doing it for free. I would say that's definitely when you're starting out. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. It was talking to Ian on last week's show. He said like he doesn't really use any social media, doesn't work for his business because he's gone down other avenues and that's what works for him now. But starting out, if you haven't started yet, then they're the best ways, free and easy just to get going. As you said. So do you use any specific tools or apps to manage your business?
Not especially anything other than people wouldn't use otherwise, like Google Calendar. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I don't think anybody doesn't use a calendar. Google Notes, make notes, love making notes. For teaching noises is a thing where you can strip out the stems, so you can have like just the guitar, like all without guitar and stuff, all learning parts and stuff. But not especially. Like, I think all the usual apps. I wouldn't say there's anything that jumps out at me, to be honest. But it's
funny you say that, because I was having a conversation with my friend yesterday who doesn't use a calendar, and I just thought it was absolutely wild.
Really?
He just lives life never really knowing where he's going or what he's doing.
Jeez, I couldn't survive. Like, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah. Well, good for him. Like, I'd love to be able to do that. It's, nice one.
Awesome, man. So is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wish I'd asked you that you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think so. I think I've probably gone on enough. Like, we've covered a load of different stuff, and it's just great to chat. No, I think that's great, mate. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
So if people wanted to connect with you or find out more about your book or anything like that, where would you want to send them?
Probably to, my sort of brand name over the years is, for the lessons, has been Learn Guitar with Charlie. That's just a thing. It's funny how, like, I don't even really remember coming up with that, and I wouldn't have necessarily chosen it. Not that it's bad, but anyway, it puts my name in there, I suppose. So yeah, just learnguitarwithcharlie.com is a website, and then there's like Facebook and Instagram. Anywhere in there, you're going to find numerous ways to email me or whatever. But yeah, and all the links to the books are on there, or on Amazon, just search my name, and I think I'm the only Charlie Tottman on there, so it should come up.
That's always good. That's nice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Awesome, man. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I need to get out of this shed because it's about 1,000 degrees in here.
Thanks, Jack. Pleasure. Take care, Jack.
So there we go. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And again, I just want to say a big thanks to Charlie for coming on and having a chat. So this is the last episode of this season. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to follow or subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this on. And then you will be notified when we're back for season 2. Take it easy, and I will catch you shortly for season 2.